The Ragin Cajuns sweep Coastal Carolina. They'll play Southern Miss for the Sun Belt title. It's Locked On Sun Belt.
You are Locked On Sun Belt, your daily podcast on the Sun Belt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to another edition of Locked On Sun Belt, your team every day. I'm your host, Dave Schultz. Hopefully you're enjoying this holiday weekend. And I'll be the first to tell you, I was surprised. The plan was to go to Montgomery if the Cajuns had beaten Coastal on Thursday and were playing from the winner's bracket. That did not happen. Beating Texas State for a fifth time was a little bit of a surprise, but I just didn't think, not only didn't I think they were going to beat Coastal Carolina, I didn't think they were going to beat them twice. Coastal Carolina averages like 8 runs a game. They scored 4 in the 2 ball games. And now the Cajuns get Southern Miss. You know, kudos to App State for pulling off a big win over Troy and then beating Southern Miss in the morning, first thing in the morning on Saturday. But Southern Miss got off to a great start. App State ran out of pitching playing their, 5th game of the weekend. And they just ran out of pitching. But kudos to the Mountaineers for pushing Southern Miss to an elimination game. So Southern Miss was sitting there waiting, for the Cajuns or Coastal Carolina. We kind of jumped ahead of ourselves. So Louisiana's got to take on Coastal twice. And a lot like the softball team did, they fell behind. Coastal jumped on top with a run in the first and then a run in the second inning. And it's not looking pretty good, right? Cooper Rawls is going much better out of the bullpen. He's got like 10 wins out of the bullpen this year. He's among the nation's leaders in victories, but he's not particularly good at starting. And he gave up 3 runs on 5 hits in 2 2/3 innings. I think it could have been worse, but he managed to keep it reasonable. And then the bullpen shut Coastal down. Cash, an inning, 2 base hits, even hit a batter, but nothing doing. Couch, 1 1/3 inning, 2 base hits, a strikeout, no runs. And then the hero of the night ends up being Blake Marshall. 4 innings of shutout baseball, striking out 3, walking 1, giving up a couple of base hits. But he closed it off and allowed the Cajuns to come back. Guys that are having, big weekends. Kyle DeBarge is having a big weekend. Roccaforte started to have one, but, John Taylor's having a big one as well. The second baseman who played short for DeBarge while he was out. Now he's moved to second, and he's had a big weekend as well. He got it going I think, against Texas State in game 1. Maybe it's game 2. But here he reaches on a fielder's choice. And then all of a sudden, Willis had a base hit and you got runners on at first and second. And then you get 3 base hits, all scoring runs. And it very quickly went from 3-0 Coastal to 4-3 Cajuns. Will Vion with an RBI single. You had Max Marshak, 2-run double, scoring Vion and CJ Willis. And then Kyle DeBarge with a double, scoring Marshak. And to say that Coastal Carolina was shocked, I think, would be an understatement. They went from leading 3-0 to trailing 4-3, and they're going up against Blake Marshall with like a 6 ERA, and they weren't able to touch him. Then the Cajuns got the insurance runs that they never got when they played in that Sunday morning ball game. Right? It was first off, it was scheduled at 10:30, and then they moved it up even further to 10 a.m. And they had a chance in the 8th. They were up 2-1. They probably only needed 1 insurance run, and they didn't get it. And Nick Lucky hits an opposite field home run. Roccaforte's home run in the bottom half of the 9th, brought back from over the wall. And Coastal ends up winning that ball game in 10, 3-2. Here, the Cajuns, 2 outs, nobody on. Heath Hood with a double. John Taylor with a double. CJ Willis with a monster home run. Actually, he ripped one down the right field line, followed it deep down the line, and then the next pitch, it was up and over. One of those, I knew it when I hit it. He kind of walked a little bit and stared at it, which he absolutely deserves to. And the Cajuns take game 1, 7-3. All right, so now you got to wait for the Coastal App State game, and that one wasn't going to take a while. I didn't realize you could run rule, but they did have a run rule, and Southern Miss run ruled App State. Maybe App State just waved the white flag and said, "Okay, it's 11-1. You guys win. We don't want to get anybody else hurt pitching wise. Congratulations!" And again, kudos to both teams. Southern Miss for bouncing back. They're facing an elimination ball game, which they hadn't all weekend, and App State, which probably was in their third elimination game. A good job of pushing Southern Miss to the brink. But it was all Southern Miss in that ball game. Now, not only did we get, let's see, now who's going to pitch for the Cajuns in game 2? All right. Why don't we take a timeout? We'll come back and talk about that. I do want to let you know, and my goodness, what about the NBA games? Goodness gracious, because this is a great time to be part of FanDuel. Make a fast break. Hold on a second. Make a fast break to FanDuel. We got a game 7 coming up, and of course, then the NBA Finals. Because right now, new customers can get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. My goodness, that's $2,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. There's no better place to bet all the playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And that was quite the finish on Saturday night between the Heat and the Celtics, although usually don't think 2 points is a big difference, but the Celtics won and the Heat covered. Go figure. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. We do have bad news. We'll get to this a little bit later. Ragin Cajuns softball got shut out. They got blanked in the Super Regional. That's going to be a tough pill to swallow. But I think in this case, you got to tip your cap to Washington. They were in trouble all game long, and the Cajuns just could not get that extra base hit. A couple hard hit balls, good plays by Washington. All right, back to the baseball. It's Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. I'm your host, Dave Schultz. All right, so now the Cajuns, who's pitching? All right, in game 2, they need to win it. But now Coastal Carolina, all of a sudden, they're into game 4, right? They've played 2 ball games, although they rested Friday. Now they've played 1 on Saturday. Now they're playing a second game on Saturday. And who do they got to pitch for them? Well, what about the Cajuns? The Cajuns go to Jackson Nazu. Nazu pitched 119 pitches on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's 2 days rest. I'm all about, his throw day. Well, I guess they're going to wait for him to have his throw day on Saturday because that's what he did. Now, you're not expecting him to go very long, but it maybe get you off to a good start, and he certainly did that. It should also be noted, oddly enough, the Cajuns were the home team, and this is kind of that odd deal where you switch off every single time, but it's a nice little advantage. Coastal went quietly in the first. Nazu goes 3 innings, 49 pitches, which is pretty good. 1 run on a sac fly, I think, 2 base hits, and a walk and 2 strikeouts, and he absolutely gave the Cajuns what they needed. Cajuns got on top in the first inning. I think that would be Carson went deep. Yeah, Rockefeller hammered a shot to right field, and it was 1-0. Coastal ties it up in the third, but the Cajuns get the run right back. So Coastal never really enjoyed a lead or even a tie game, as far as I'm concerned, in this game. Cajuns come back, and it's a 2-1 ball game. Still need insurance. It's not enough. You still need the insurance, and they got it in the 6th. Here is John Taylor again. An odd single to left field over the left fielder's head. I think the left fielder misplayed it. I'm sure it was ruled. It is ruled a base hit, but I think he should have caught it. He sort of started back, stopped, kept on going back, and the ball hit where you could catch it up against the wall or maybe in front of the wall. Nonetheless, both runs score. Hood scores and Brock scores. Taylor misses first base. He's got to go back. That ended up not being costly, but it could have been. As C.J. Willis had a single, that would have been another run for the Cajuns. So the Cajuns leading it 4-1, and we told you Nazu went 3 innings. Well, who comes in behind Jackson Nazu is Blake Marshall, and he does it again. 5 1/3 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 3 walks, 5 punch-outs. He totally handcuffs this potent Coastal lineup. Let me see what his numbers are, because he's had a really good stretch here lately, but I don't think it was all that great to begin with. Right? I mean, just against Coastal, what, at 9 1/3 innings of shutout baseball on the same day, nonetheless. He's had a good stretch where he hasn't given anything up. I got to look at the right number. Ooh, we're going back a while. He hasn't given anything up since May 9th. Texas State, 2/3 of an inning. Southern Miss, 1/3 of an inning. Coastal Carolina, 2/3 of an inning. Coastal Carolina, 4 innings, 5 innings. So he's gone, let's see here, 9 1/3, 10 1/3, 11 innings of scoreless baseball for Blake Marshall. It doesn't have it's a lot of times it'd be nice to see what his ERA is as it fluctuates up and down. But obviously, here it's got, think about this. He's only pitched 33 innings this year. The last 11 have been shutout. He's found something. That's really impressive. So good for him. Cajuns go to, actually, Coastal got something going. They had 2 on, and I'm sure they had anybody out, if my memory serves, in the 9th inning. Yeah. They had 1 on. I'm sorry. They had 1 out. Bodine grounded out to begin the inning. Then Bender walked and Barthol singled. So you had 2 on and 1 out. JT Etheridge comes in for Marshall. He gets Brown to line out. And although Barthol stole second, and so now the tying run's still at the plate. And Books grounded out to short to end it. And the Cajuns now are going to try and piece together 9 innings. They need 27 outs. They have snuck in, by the way, to 45. I don't know what happened between this morning when we woke up and when they were at 46, but now their RPI is 45. I don't know if somebody lost first thing in the morning on the East Coast, but the Cajuns were 46 last night after the game. They are now 45. Kendall Rogers and the guys at D1 Baseball think the Cajuns are in regardless of win or lose today against Southern Miss. I presume their RPI can't fall too much if you're taking on Southern Miss. If you win, then you'll probably be in the top 40 if you win. You're going to be very close to the top 40 if you win. They started out, I don't know, I guess they said they started out the week somewhere in the 60s. But they were, I think after the Texas State game, they were 59. Then after the first Coastal Carolina game, they were 52. And then the second one, 46. So they went up 13 and now 14 spots with 2 wins. Kendall Rogers and the guys at D1 Baseball think they are in. Guess where they got them going? Back to Baton Rouge. Oh, great. And most likely, they are the 3 seed. Guess who they would have to probably face? Paul Skeens. That's just a guess. All right. Although the way we've seen LSU go, I'm not convinced that they would win the first game if you give it up to somebody else. Ty Floyd, unless he's pitching a full, complete game, I'm not convinced, he can outduel someone's number 1, maybe. All right, is what I would guess. We'll see what happens. The hosts are being announced on Sunday, whereas the regionals will be announced on a Monday. It's an odd time, like 11 a.m. Central Time on Memorial Day, but we'll have all that for you. All right, let's take another quick timeout. We'll recap what happened in the softball that did not go the Cajuns' way. We will do that next as Washington shuts out the Cajuns all weekend long, and the Huskies move on to the College World Series. All right, thanks so much for tuning in to Locked On Sunbelt. Please subscribe on YouTube, like it, share it, put in some comments. We are continuing to grow, not quite 250 subscribers, but we're getting there. It's a slow process. Trust the process. So we're seeing some pretty good growth over the last 4 months. Again, we will get back to football once baseball and for all intents and purposes, softball is over now. But we'll still maybe, I guess, have a week of baseball left if the Cajuns do make it. Obviously, if they win, we'll follow them. And if they get the enlarged berth, we'll follow them as well. But eventually we'll get around to where are these teams now following spring football. We got one interview lined up with a coach so far. We'll see if we can get some more as the summer is quickly approaching. All right. And then, I mean, you realize this when the summer hits, which is technically the middle of June, right? There's only like 5 weeks until camp starts. So maybe that's why they call it summer camp. But it should be fall camp. It's fall camp. All right. Anyway, also remember, not only YouTube, but you want to subscribe on the audio portion of the show as well. Amazon, iHeart, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from, you can find Locked on Sunbelt. We are there, and we do appreciate it. Spread the word. Again, I don't know if we can get to 1,000 by football season, but certainly going to try and get, another 250, get 500. And then I think it like exponentially grows over time. So maybe once the college football season starts, or maybe once camp begins at end of July, beginning of August, maybe it'll pick up a lot at that point in time and we can get up to 1,000 subscribers. All right. Again, thanks so much for subscribing, and let's do more. It is Locked on Sunbelt, your team every day. I'm Dave Schultz. Let's talk Ragin Cajuns softball. So one of the reasons I feel I probably shouldn't, but I do. I always feel sorry for the Ragin Cajuns. They always get the bad break. The call always seems to go against them. Certainly that's the way Ragin Cajuns feel. Like softball, they didn't get to host. They had to go to LSU. Well, with Washington, it was not bad breaks. All right. They had a couple lineouts, and Washington made some really good defensive plays, but Washington was better. All right. The Cajuns haven't been shut out all year until the regional at LSU. They bounced back and they won twice. Here, they got shut out the whole time. Someone's going to have to go back and look. The last time the Ragin Cajun softball team didn't score over 12 innings. I did my math wrong because I forgot the first game was a run rule, so they only had 5 innings there. But the second game, they lost the first game 8-0, and they lost the second game 2-0. I can't imagine the Cajuns have 12 scoreless innings over the last decade. That would be maybe in a College World Series against Oklahoma, and even at that, I don't know. I just remember them scoring some runs. I'd be shocked if you could find 12 scoreless innings for the Ragin Cajuns offense over the last decade. And the pitchers did well. The freshman Ruby Malin did better than the pitcher on Saturday. Cajuns has all kinds of shots. They did not have a lack of opportunity. They were like 2 for 16 with runners on base and 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. So they had their shots. Washington made the plays, and then the Cajuns needed to keep it 1-0. Washington actually got a run home on a stolen base of home. Just not paying attention, I guess. So heads up play by Washington there. Nonetheless, it doesn't change the fact that the Cajuns had a tremendous season. Jerry Glasgow finally wins a regional in Baton Rouge against LSU. It was a great year. And the thing is, they are losing some really good players, right? They are losing Sunbelt Player of the Year, Carly Heath. They are losing their closer, Kendra Lamb, and they're losing their pitcher, Megan Shorman, who pitched a whale of a ball game on Saturday. But that's it. Everybody else, juniors, sophomores, and freshmen. Who knows what's going to happen with the transfer portal and the girls who are already, waiting their chance to come in and help this year. So things are looking good for the Ragin Cajuns, a softball team. I would be looking forward to them, maybe getting it to the next level. We'll see if they have that. If Sam Landry can develop into that shutdown ace, that's what you're looking for. Someone who can come in, throw 6-7 shutout innings when necessary, or give up 1 run or something like that. But you gotta find that. That'd be the one thing that they were missing this year. But they were deep. They just couldn't get to the Sunday matchup against Washington. But congratulations to the Ragin Cajun softball team. They had a heck of a year. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. please enjoy the rest of the weekend. We only have, by the time this gets posted, it'll be an hour before the Cajuns and Southern Miss go at it to see who is going to win the Sun Belt Championship. Remember, the Cajuns are the defending champs, and this is Southern Miss's first year in the Sun Belt. So good rivalry matchup, and it should be an interesting ball game. It'll be interesting to see if Scott Berry actually pitches Tanner Hall. I would be surprised if he does. I guess I wouldn't be that surprised if he pitches out a little bit, but we'll see. I'm sure Tanner Hall wants to pitch. It's a matter of should Berry do that. Putting the ace that's going to be, a top 3-round pick on very short rest. So we shall see how that goes. All right, please enjoy the weekend. We'll have another episode tomorrow, obviously recapping the championship game. And then we may do a special episode on the brackets. We'll see if we want to wait until Tuesday for that one, as the case may be. Everyone have a tremendous holiday weekend. I'm your host, Dave Schultz, and you've been listening to and watching Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day.